Hey there, welcome back to Sip and Talk. Got my coffee ready, hope you do too.
Absolutely, ready to jump in.
It feels like a pretty complex week, doesn't it? We've got the Fed making moves, big trade deals getting signed over in Asia.
And that high-stakes summit everyone's watching.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So quite a bit to unpack.
Right. So our mission today for Sip and Talk is really to connect those dots for you.
Yeah.
We're looking at the Fed's actions here at home, but also tying that into the global picture.
Specifically these new U.S.-Asia agreements and, well, the Trump-Xi talks.
Exactly. The trade stuff, fentanyl, soybeans, those rare earth minerals, and the big one, tech controls. It's all intertwined.
Okay, let's start with the Fed then. We got the rate cut everyone expected, right? 25 basis points.
Yep, benchmark rate now, 3.75% to 4%. Pretty much priced in.
It felt kind of gentle. But there was something else announced too, wasn't there? Something about QT.
Yes. That was arguably the bigger news, buried in the technical details.
Yeah.
The formal end of quantitative tightening QT. Balance sheet reductions starting December 1st.
Right. The end of QT. Why is that such a big deal for, global liquidity watchers?
Well, it signals a major shift. They're going from actively shrinking their balance sheet, pulling money out, to essentially just holding steady. Stabilizing it.
So no more sucking liquidity out of the system.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And crucially, they announced they'll reinvest maturing assets straight back into short-term U.S. Treasuries.
Okay, and why does that specific reinvestment matter?
It helps relieve pressure on those really important short-term funding markets, the plumbing of the financial system, the repo market. It shows the Fed is prioritizing financial stability now, maybe over really aggressive tightening. They're done pulling money out, basically.
But then Powell used that phrase, driving in fog, sounded pretty cautious about cutting again soon, like in December.
He did. And the fog, well, it's the conflicting data, isn't it?
How so?
Because, look at it. U.S. GDP, the economy overall, surprisingly strong. Most models aren't showing near-term recession risk, but the labor market is definitely softening. We saw those Amazon job cuts, right? 14,000 people, even with all the AI hype and spending. Hiring activity seems low.
So strong economy, weak labor. That's confusing.
It's very confusing. Makes it incredibly tricky for the Fed to figure out the next move. Usually that kind of mix might lean towards cuts, right? To support jobs without overheating things.
But Powell also mentioned worrying about high asset valuations, like stocks being too expensive.
He did. And that suggests there might be different views inside the FOMC. Some might worry about, market bubbles.
Is he seeing another .com bubble, maybe with all this AI excitement?
Well, he actually addressed that head on. He drew a distinction, said today's AI boom is different from the late 90s internet thing.
How's it different?
He pointed out that the big tech leaders now, your NVIDIAs and so on, they have massive earnings, real business operations backing up those high valuations. Unlike, a lot of the .com era companies.
Okay, so concern, but maybe not panic about a bubble.
Seems that way. But there's another big constraint he mentioned. Something external holding them back, maybe? Tariffs.
Ah, right. The trade war stuff. How does that play in?
He basically said inflation is already close to their 2% target if you ignore the impact of tariffs.
If you exclude tariffs. Okay.
But if new tariffs come in, he warned it could cause a sort of one-time jump in prices.
Yeah.
And that could push back any further rate cuts by maybe a year, even more.
Wow. So trade policy is now directly messing with monetary policy decisions.
Absolutely. It's not just a trade headache anymore. It's a factor that could completely derail the Fed's timeline.
And then there's the whole political layer hanging over everything, the election cycle, Powell's future.
Definitely. Everyone knows the next administration is likely to bring in a new Fed chair. Kevin Hassett's name comes up a lot.
And he's known for wanting a maybe less active Fed?
Exactly. Someone who might want to rein in the central bank, limit the balance sheet expansion. So the internal discussion isn't just if rates will fall, but how the Fed's whole approach might fundamentally change pretty soon. There's definitely political pressure.
Okay, so that tariff risk Powell mentioned,
Yeah.
It kind of leads us perfectly into the next big piece, global trade and supply chains. It feels like the U.S. is actively trying to reshape things.
It really does. You see it in these new bilateral deals, especially in Asia. They're trying to build supply chains that are less reliant on China.
Like the new agreement with South Korea, that looked pretty significant.
Hugely significant. It's more than just a trade deal. It's like a blueprint for future alliances.
Yeah.
Locking partners into a non-China pathway.
I saw the headline number, South Korea committing, $200 billion in U.S. investment? Manufacturing, shipbuilding?
Yeah, a massive cash commitment phased in through 2029. But the U.S. gave concessions too, crucially, on tariffs.
What kind of tariff relief?
Well, for one, they lowered the tariffs on South Korean cars, down from 25% to 15%.
Okay, 15%. That puts them on par with Japan.
Exactly. Levels the playing field, makes Korean cars instantly more competitive here.
But the really strategic part seemed to be around semiconductors. That sounded like long-term security for South Korea.
Absolutely foundational.
Mm-hmm.
South Korea got most favored nation status for semiconductor tariffs.
Meaning
their tariff rate won't be any higher than whatever rate Taiwan gets in the future under those Section 232 rules.
So it guarantees them equal footing with Taiwan, essentially.
Precisely. It's not just a small perk, it kind of institutionalizes South Korea as a core preferred partner in the U.S. tech and manufacturing sphere, no matter who's in charge later. Real long-term stability for them.
Okay, let's pivot then to the highest stakes negotiation.
Yeah.
The Trump B summit. Markets were definitely watching this one closely.
For sure. The focus was clearly on trying to pause the tariff escalations and maybe ease some of those tech restrictions.
Felt like the expectation was, maybe resolve 2 out of the 3 big issues.
Something like that. And this summit really showed the fight isn't about, T-shirts anymore. It's about controlling fundamental tech and critical materials.
So, Battleground 1, tech versus rare earths. China wants easier access to high-end AI chips.
Yes, specifically they asked for looser controls on NVIDIA's Blackwell chips. And they wanted a freeze on any new chip controls until 2028.
Blackwell. Aren't those the really advanced ones?
Yeah.
Way more powerful than what's restricted now.
Reports say maybe 12 times more powerful than the H20 chips China can currently get. So yes, very advanced.
And what did the U.S. want in return?
Guaranteed stability for rare earth mineral exports and other key materials coming out of China. No disruptions.
But wait, selling access to chips like Blackwell? Isn't that giving away a massive technological edge for just, mineral stability? That feels like a huge concession.
That is the core tension.
Yeah.
And you heard bipartisan concern about it in Washington, senators, officials.
They're worried.
Because it has military application. Clear dual-use potential, yeah. Military AI. Giving access to that level of tech could be seen as handing over a permanent advantage just to get short-term stability on raw materials. It seems like a reversal of decades of U.S. policy guarding that chip advantage.
It really makes you wonder what the long-term gain is supposed to be there. Okay, moving to Battleground 2. Fentanyl versus agriculture. That sounds more like classic trade negotiation.
Very much a tit-for-tat kind of deal designed for, let's say, political wins on both sides.
Fentanyl was Trump's big focus.
Top of the agenda, apparently.
Yeah.
The U.S. wants much stricter Chinese controls on the precursor chemicals used to make it, targeting the source.
And the U.S. offered.
To cut that 20% tariff that was specifically linked to the fentanyl issue, a direct trade-off.
And did China signal cooperation?
Yeah.
Especially on the agriculture side?
Yes, there was a pretty clear goodwill gesture right before the summit. China confirmed buying 2 shiploads of U.S. soybeans.
First big soybean purchase this year, right?
Exactly. It signaled they're ready to start buying U.S. farm goods again.
Yeah.
Cooperate on that front. Shows a willingness to kind of de-escalate the commercial side of things.
Okay. And finally, you can't really discuss U.S.-China without mentioning Taiwan, even if it wasn't officially on the summit agenda.
Geopolitics is always in the room, isn't it?
Yeah.
And leading up to the meeting, there was definitely an uptick in Chinese military activity near Taiwan.
Like those ADIZ incursions, flights into Taiwan's Air Defense Identification Zone.
Exactly.
Why do those matter in the context of a summit like this? Is it just posturing?
It's more than just posturing, I think. It's a classic pressure tactic. It tests Taiwan's defenses, wears them down a bit over time.
Okay.
But maybe more importantly, it sends a very clear nonverbal message to Washington right before they sit down. A reminder from Beijing that the military dimension is always there, always part of the calculation. It's leverage.
Right. Constant underlying pressure.
So, trying to bring all this together for you, our listener, there were really 2 big strategic things happening. First, globally, liquidity looks like it's improving.
Because the Fed stopped QT and is still signaling cuts, even if they're slow?
Exactly. That should help stabilize markets, generally speaking.
And second,
the U.S. is actively trying to rewire global trade. Through these big bilateral deals, like with South Korea, shifting supply chains structurally.
And through these high-level summits where, technology itself is now on the bargaining table.
Right. Using critical tech advantages as chips, pardon the pun, to manage these big geopolitical uncertainties.
Now, we should probably make it clear. We've talked about Fed politics, the Trump sheet demands.
Yeah, it's really important for us to stress that everything we've discussed today is just based on the facts that's presented, the reports coming out. We're not taking sides here.
Absolutely not. We really encourage you, the listener, to think independently, form your own views. We're just laying out the situation. No endorsements here.
Agreed. Keep that critical thinking cap on.
Okay, so with that, here's something maybe to chew on after we wrap up.
Let's hear it.
Given all that concern we talk about, the bipartisan pushback in the U.S. against selling top-tier AI chips like Blackwell, what real lasting leverage does the U.S. actually get by putting its biggest tech advantage on the table as a temporary bargaining chip?
Trading long-term dominance for short-term stability. That is definitely food for thought.
Indeed. Well, if you found this breakdown helpful navigating the Fed, the trade deals, the summit, do subscribe to Sip&Talk.
Yeah, we'd appreciate that. And hey, also check out our friend Mickey's YouTube channel, Mickeytolife. He's got some really fun stuff, memes, liquor tastings, and his latest vlog from Europe. Good times over there.
Definitely check Mickey out. All right, that's all for this session of Sip&Talk.
We'll see you next time.